Hey guys, welcome back to the channel this week. We're going to be going into something a little bit different for this week's semi-live. Going to give you a rundown on the Hoyt Satori. This is a new recurve I just picked up here a few weeks ago. Going to run through just the overview of it from out of the box, setting it up, and I'm excited for using this year. Just give you guys a little bit of a backstory. A couple years ago, I wanted to get more into recurve hunting, so I picked up, just off of eBay, I picked up a cheap recurve just to kind of get my feet wet into recurve hunting and target shooting. I purchased it at, it was a relatively cheap PSE recurve. It was like a 40-pound draw weight, which it was great. It served my purpose for just getting introduced into the sport of traditional archery. But I decided this year I kind of wanted to take things to another level and up my game up and get myself in a system that I thought I'd be comfortable with taking into the woods in an actual hunting situation. So that brings us up to speed on the Hoyt Satori. We're going to open this up and just kind of show you what to expect when you get it, and what comes in the box, how to set it up. And this will be a two-part video. The first part, like I said, will be just the overview. And then sometime in the future here, we're going to do another semi-live of actually the target range tuning and setting up of the Satori. So just right out of the box, the Hoyt Satori comes in a pretty cool travel case. You can break the bow down, and if you're going on out-of-state hunts or if you're just going to target shoot on the range, you can break it down, take it to wherever you want, set it up, and you're all good to go. But we're going to open it up here. And so I went with, there's a few different riser options on the Hoyt Satori. I went with the 19-inch riser, which I believe is just kind of the middle of the road. I tried doing some research initially as far as like what I should get for risers and limbs and everything, and I didn't really get a lot of great answers. I kind of found a little bit more information after the fact. And just given my draw length, I have about a 29 and a half inch draw length. They recommend for the Hoyt Satori to actually go with the long limbs. I went with the short limbs because my initial thought was I wanted something for a hunting situation that was a little bit smaller, shooting out of ground blinds, which it sounds like it'll still suffice. But if you're a bigger guy, longer arms, you might want to go the longer limb route. But like I said, I got the 19-inch riser here, and I got some of the stuff already set up on here. I was messing around with it a few weeks ago. So what comes with it out of the box is a set of shims. I went already and set these up, but there's 3 shim plates that go along your rest. From what I've noticed on some of the research, like I said, I'm getting new into this sport of traditional archery, so I still have a lot to learn. Any sort of like additional feedback and comments that maybe some more experienced traditional archers might know, any sort of criticism or recommendations I would greatly appreciate, because I'm still getting my feet wet on this. But going back to the shims, some places that I did some research on said shims aren't necessary, but for tuning purposes, you can utilize them. I put them on right away just to start out with, and then if I decide I don't want to use them, I can always take them off. But one of the things I should mention with the shims is they just go on with an Allen key screw, and they screw into this side here. You want to be careful when you're tightening them, because it's just plastic shims, so you can over tighten them and strip the threads. So you just want to be extremely careful. Just get them snug. You don't need to get them super tight. One of the other things that I'm, in addition to just the riser, is I did have a Hoyt quiver. These are just the standard Hoyt quivers that come with, can come with a compound, but they also fit the Satori, so that's pretty cool that they're compatible for both. And all it does is just slides on here and locks into place. So you can leave that on if you're shooting, or if you're going to and from the tree, you can take it on, take it off, and whatnot. And then going into our limbs here. So Hoyt has a few different options for both your riser and your limbs. They have a few different riser color options, a few different riser limb options. I went with the wood grain just because I think it looks cool. It gives it kind of that traditional look that you see on a lot of the older bows. So it comes with your 2 limbs, and it's pretty easy to set it up. You got these limb pockets right here. There's a pin in the back, and you just slide it in, and it snaps into place. Do that for the bottom also. And you'll hear that click, and you know it's in place and it's not going to go anywhere. So with my Satori limbs, I decided to go with 55-inch limbs. Could be a little bit more than I'm bargaining for. I'm not necessarily sure yet. I set this up, like I said, a few weeks ago, just playing with it. Seems pretty heavy for me right now, but I think the more I get into shooting, I'll probably get a little bit stronger, and I should be able to handle it. But I would definitely recommend, if you're a little bit worried about the limbs being too heavy for you, your draw weight being too heavy for you, you could back it down to 45, 50 pound limb options. And the nice thing with the Satori is, if you ever want to graduate up or down in draw weight, all you got to do is just order different limbs, and you can always have these set for later use in the future. One other thing I want to mention too is that comes with the Satori kit is the riser felt. I already got that installed here, but it's just a little strip of felt, and it matches up perfectly with your shims. And then there's another piece of felt that goes right along the bottom of the riser for where your arrow can rest. So the next thing we're going to do is we're actually going to install our limb silencers. Hoyt actually provides a set of limb silencers with the Hoyt Satori kit, and it's just a 3M sticker that you can just peel off on the back. And what we're going to do is we're going to set it right in the groove of the limb pocket here and just try and center that as good as we can. We're going to center that right over that where that string rests. And then just press it down firmly. And that should help just dampen some of that slap you're going to get from the string hitting the limb on your shot. So the next thing we're going to do is we're actually going to install an arrow holder for this. That way when I'm in the tree, I can just leave my arrow on, and I don't have to worry about the wind blowing, falling off on my bow hanger or whatnot. I don't have to have my hands on the bow at all times. It'll be just a nice handy tool for that, or for even like spot and stalk hunting or anything like that in the future. So this item actually is not included in the Satori kit. I had to go online and buy this. This is a stop the dropper arrow holder. If you just go to their website, look them up on Google, you'll be able to find them. And all it is a little plastic piece, and there's 2 adhesive pieces. There's just 2 buttons that come with this, so you can actually put one on one bow, and you have an extra one if you want to put it on a different bow, and then you can use this for different bows if you're deciding to hunt with a different bow or target shoot with one. So you just peel off that, and we got a little adhesive end on this, and we're going to put it right here close to the riser. Stick that down so it's tight. I'm actually going to move it a little bit. That way I can undo that screw if I have to. Hold that for a little bit, just make sure it sticks on there. That should be good. So then what we can do is there's a few different hole options on here, and this might be something I have to just mess with when I get an arrow on, but we can adjust the length of our stop just for how our arrow is going to rest on the bow. But essentially this will just pop on like that. Arrow will sit in here, and then when it comes time to draw the bow back, this will actually release, and then your arrow will just be sitting on your rest.
Down. Gotta be down. I'm happy with them. Really excited to put a wrap on a quick North Dakota season for myself.
Holy smokes. That is a heck of a deer.
So the next thing we're going to do is install our string silencers. Now, the Hoyt Satori doesn't come with string silencers. I actually bought these online. I got these from Three Rivers Archery. They're alpaca wool string silencers. And we're just going to slap these on each end. And the first thing you want to do is you want to measure 8 inches down from your string on both ends. So that way it's just centered on, evenly centered on your bow. All right, so now that we got our string silencers on, we're ready to string our bow up here and finish the rest of the setup process. So to get our string on, we're actually going to set our loop on the top of the bow. Put the cap on here. And then just feed this nice and easy through. And then all we gotta do, flip this around. Feed that through. Feed it through. And then all we gotta do is pull that kind of as far up as you can, get the most pressure on it. Put that underneath your foot, pull up. And then you just settle your string right in the end. Back off on the weight. And we're strung. One thing I always do then once I get it strung up, you can see this is kind of sitting off to the side. Just make sure your string's sitting in the center in those grooves. Give your bow maybe a couple smacks. It just helps line it straight up on the limb pockets. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to set up and adjust my tiller. I've actually done this already. I did it a few weeks ago when I was working on kind of getting the bow strung up and ready to go. So this year I'm actually going to be shooting a little bit different. In the past I shot split finger, which, you know, is basically one finger over top, 2 underneath, or 3 fingers underneath. I'm going to be switching to 3 fingers underneath, and in a future video I'm going to go a little bit more into detail as far as why I'm doing that. But based on how you shoot your fingers, your tiller has to be adjusted differently. So for myself, given I'm shooting 3 fingers underneath, I actually can use it. I can actually set my tiller up even, which is basically just the spacing in between here in the string and here in the string is set to the same distance. Now if I was shooting one over, or if I was shooting split finger, you'd actually want that tiller a little bit higher on the top, just to allow for just that different tension in your bow when you're drawing back, because if you look at your bow, exact center of the bow is actually right through the riser of the bow, but in most bows nowadays, or in most traditional shooting, your knocking point's actually higher than where your center of your bow is. So what we're doing by adjusting that tiller is we're actually compensating for that. So all you really have to do to adjust your tiller is there's 2 set screws here, and inside your Hoyt bag is your own set of Allen keys. And these Allen keys can be used to adjust the tiller on your top and your bottom here. And all you really have to do is go in here and you would loosen this. There's a screw in the back here. You go in there and loosen them, and then go on the front on your bolts, and you can loosen, tighten them, and that'll adjust that tiller length to wherever you would end up wanting it. Just make sure when you get done adjusting that, you go back in and you tighten these down so they're secure. So the next thing I would do to set up my Hoyt Satori is set up my brace height. This is something I also did previously, but essentially all you have to do, with most recurve bows, you want to be somewhere in between 7.5, 8.5 inch brace height, and that's something that all you have to do to adjust is you would just take twists out of your strings to loosen or tighten. I was probably around 9 when I first got this bow, and I loosened it up quite a bit. Right now I'm at about 8 1/4, 8.5, somewhere in there. But all you have to do to check your brace height is just go from the center of your brace, and you're going to measure back to where your string is. And right now, like I said, mine is at about 8 1/4. So we're within range as far as like starting. As we tune this bow, we take it in the field more, we might want to mess with that, either take it longer or tighten it up, just based on you know, what the bow is doing when we're shooting. It can help take out some of that vibration if we mess with that brace height a little bit more. So the last thing that we're really going to be doing for setting up our Hoyt Satori, or any recurve that matter, is setting up our knocking point. This is something I did also prior, but I want to walk you through the process so you know how to do it on your own bow in the future. So for me shooting 3 fingers, we actually want to go a little bit higher than center on our mark here. I'm going to shoot for about 5/8. That's just some of the research I did. That's what they recommended for shooting 3 fingers. If you're shooting split finger, you want to go a little bit lower than that. All we have to do is take our square. We're going to put it on the bow just so it sits flat on the rest. And then I'm going to just bring that down so the bottom of my square is sitting right about where my arrow would be in there. So we're going to go at about 5/8, and you can see, I mean, my knock's already on here, but that's my 5/8 mark. So what I did is I have a couple of the metal knocks, and then I got just a tool for putting your knock on. I just slipped my knock on, pinched it tight, made sure it was secure, had my bottom done, and then I put an arrow on it actually. And you don't want to have your top knock point super tight to that arrow, because when you draw back, you're going to get a little bit of a pinch. So with setting your top nock point, you just want to leave a little bit of a gap. That way when you come to full draw, the arrow don't pop off, it doesn't pinch off, and it just sits in there firmly, but not super tight. So that's pretty much it for the initial setup and overview of the Hoyt Satori. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to actually get out in the field, and we're going to do some bare shaft tuning. We're going to cut my arrows, get that all set up, my arrow setup dialed in, and then I'm going to be messing with some of my new style of 3-finger shooting. I'm hoping to do this year. Like I said, this is going to be my first year of really diving deep into recurve shooting seriously, and then from a hunting side. So there's going to be a lot of growing pains with it. So anyone watching this video that may be a little bit more experienced in recurve hunting, I would greatly appreciate any sort of advice. You can just throw it in the comments below. Some things I should be doing, some things I should be avoiding, and I'm just going to learn and hopefully share my experience through this whole process as I go. And just really hopefully with doing that, I don't want to come off as that I'm an expert in this in any way, because I'm far from it. But hopefully some of the tips and tricks that I'm picking up along the way can hopefully speed up the learning curve for some of you guys as you're watching these videos, and hopefully avoid some of the failures and trial and error that I am experiencing with it. So, but I'm excited to get out and start shooting the Hoyt Satori. Thanks for watching this week's semi-live, guys. And as always, give us a like on the video, and leave a comment, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We'll see you guys next week.